Good evening, everyone. I'm Regina Shearer, your host for the Winning Women Talk Show. I am so glad that you were able to join us this evening. And whether you're listening by radio or viewing us on YouTube or Facebook Live, we just want to say thank you for taking time out of your evening to spend with us this week. As you know, each and every week, it's our goal to present to you a woman who, and I'm starting to use a new term now, she nominal. I know that you use words like sheroes, but these women to me are she nominal. And tonight's guest you will find is exactly that. And one of the things that these women have in common is that somewhere, some way, somehow, they decided to follow their hearts and do what they're passionate about, do those things that fulfill them. And in doing so, they make a big and positive difference in the lives of other people. It's a common theme across this. I'm not just looking for these types of women to be guests, it's what they have in common. And so I hope that as you've been listening to their stories, the challenges they faced, the opportunities they've taken advantage of, the obstacles they've had to overcome, that something you heard has inspired you, has motivated you. And if you're right there at that point of saying, I always wanted to, but, well, I hope you hear something tonight that makes you say, no more buts. I'm going to do it because if she can do it, so can I. And so, as always, we want you to participate in what we do. And so, we would love to hear from you. You can feel free to call us at 781 384 5587. That's 781 384 5587. Or you can email me, Regina at rgbinternetradio.com. We look forward to hearing from you. I am super excited and happy to be able to present to you our guest for this evening. She is, as I said from the beginning, a she nominal woman. And I can just tell you that the things that she has done, I don't even know how these women find the time and the energy to do all the things they do. But she has certainly been that type of woman. Then the she is Latanya Monroe Naylor. She's a seasoned professional entrepreneur, business consultant, and a pastor's wife. In 2022, Latanya founded Monroe Naylor Consulting, driven by her passion to empower individuals to lead mission rich nonprofits and small businesses. And we're going to ask her to explain what mission rich means later on. Her background working in for profit and nonprofit sectors led her to co found two very impactful organizations. One which actively, right now, serves hundreds of families each year. And recently, that same entity acquired its first building, and it is known as Parent Villages Incorporated. The other is Monroe Naylor Consulting as a result of Latanya's experience in securing over $7 million managing multi-million dollar grants and programs, and in doing so, empowering numerous organizations to fulfill their missions. She's a certified as a facilitator, trainer, grant writer, public speaker, and this is why I said I don't know where she found the time, tax professional. And in 2023, she also found time to author and publish her first book called Mission Rich and Profit Powered. She earned her undergraduate degree in business administration, yes, from the Our Lady of the Elms College. So you're not surprised about that. She also has a master's in nonprofit management and philanthropy. and she received that from Bay Path College. She has also completed specialized programs in the Springfield Leadership Institute and Leadership Pioneer Valley. She is the recipient of numerous awards. I'm not going to mention them all, but I can tell you that the ones I'm really familiar with are the Massachusetts Commonwealth Unsung Heroine, which she received in 2021, and Business West Women of Impact, she got in 2024. She's also a member of the Springfield School Committee because she cares about education. There's so much more I could tell you, but she's going to tell that to you herself. Welcome, Latanya, to the Winning Women Talk Show.
Thank you, Regina. I appreciate the warm introduction. I'm sitting here like, who's she talking about? All the glory goes to God. I tell you that much. It all goes to God. Every time I think about what I've done and even where I'm going, I know that if it wasn't for Him in my life, I wouldn't be able to do it.
You're right. Well, I can tell you that, and I know that those who are listening and viewing this show this evening, they're probably sitting there going, wow, that's a lot. There's a lot of things she's been doing in her life.
Yeah.
And we didn't even talk about, your family and all the other things and
Yes.
requirements of your life and being, in ministry with your husband. And so why don't we just start from the beginning? Tell
Yes.
us about Latanya and where you're from growing up and all of those things that has led you to this point of your
Oh
life.
my gosh, I take the scenic route, so I have to pick and choose things because I like to tell all the descriptors and paint the picture. But I will say I'm from Springfield, Massachusetts, and I have lived here just about all my life. My dad was in the military, so I did get to travel, and I got to live in Germany, I got to live in Texas, and it was just great. Prior to my dad and my mom separating, we were on our way to England, and then it didn't work out, so I didn't get to make it there. But I remember just the impression that traveling had on me. Just
Mhm.
seeing the world, knowing that it was bigger than where we grew up in the zip code that we were raised in, and knowing there's a lot of possibilities out there. And so through that, I matriculated through school here in the area for, my regular education and then as well my higher ed. And I experienced a traumatic incident when I was a teenager, and I remembered, I gave my life to the Lord very young because of that incident. And from there, I just kept pressing forward, trying to pay it forward the experience that I had and also the people that poured into me along the way. And that's how I found myself in nonprofits eventually running all kind of programs, getting all kind of money for organizations, and then eventually saying, you know what? I've hit my glass ceiling and I'm sick of people dictating to me how much I can do and what my value is. Time for me to start my own. And I did, and that was 4 years ago. And I love educating people. That is why I wrote my book. I have a training next month, February 12th and 13th here in Holyoke, Mass, which is down the street almost from where I live. And the focus of the Mission Rich experience is to give people a strategy that it took me 20 years to get. 20 years, a lot of education, a lot of money spent, a lot of training that I had to go through to get the information that I have. And I want to give it to folks over the course of 2 days. So I love it. I believe paying it forward is what God called us to do. And I actually told somebody today, I believe God called me to empower and educate those around me to make sure that they have access to the things that other folks do that may not look like us or may not have the same access that we have, and wanting to make sure that they have that access.
Yeah. So without having to talk about whatever trauma you went through, I'm trying to understand how that intersected with nonprofits
Yeah,
because you've done for profit and nonprofit, and I know those the challenges are exist in both areas, both sectors.
absolutely.
But what what particular type of nonprofits
That's
are
a good question. It's a good question. So I started. It's funny. I just graduated from the C program at Babson College this week. I can't say graduated because it wasn't like a graduation, but I got certified. Put it that way. So I'm certified as an entrepreneurial educator now, and that's something new since I gave you my bio. And when I was going through the program, the one of the professors said every good entrepreneur fails at least 3 times, and I sat there like I did. And I sat and I said, oh my God, how many nonprofits did I start and how many businesses did I start before I finally found success, right? And what were all the things I learned along the way? And so when you ask me, how did I get into nonprofit? I literally was working with my church. I learned how to write grants because of my church. My father in law had a vision, and I learned how to write grants because I wanted to help fulfill the vision that he had on making sure our young people had a place to go, that we had funding to support the things that our kids needed in the community. And so we started a nonprofit. It's not around anymore, but it really did a lot of great work for the time for about 6 or 7 years that we were really running high with the work that we were doing. And the reason why we shut down was one of the reasons why I went back to school, because I found myself working a full time job, having a family, helping my husband in ministry, helping my father in law in ministry. And then I was still volunteering like 30 hours a week because I just wanted to help the kids and I wanted to be in the community. And I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous. So I need to go back to school and get paid to do this because this doesn't make sense for me to be giving away my time for free. And that's how I got into the nonprofit program. And then I just kept going from there. I ended up in higher ed, and I was working for an organization that funded massive amounts of other organizations. And it was just, it's almost like almost addictive when you start helping people and you get to see what happens when systems align and thousands of people are helped. It's like, oh my God, I want to do more of this. And so that's how I ended up down, the pathway of saying, you know what, for profit, bye, like my daughter says, hello to nonprofit world and service. And what I found was that most organizations did not have good structure, and most organizations did not do a good job with being fundable and attractable to funders. So they might get one good grant and then they were gone. You wouldn't hear from them, you wouldn't see them again. And when I saw that trend, I realized there's a gap here. Here's an opportunity for me to do something that I want to do, which is educate. And through trial and error, I found myself back in for profit, although I'm building this nonprofit simultaneously so that I can help nonprofits, help people that are mission rich, help people that even if they want to have a for profit, want to see legacy and want to see transformation in the world around them.
Right. Now, so that helps me understand a little bit better. So parent villages, what is that about?
So, Parent Villages is an organization I co founded with 3 other moms. And it was in 2017. I had just gotten elected to the school committee, and I was listening to a presentation. And actually, it was right at the beginning of 2018. I think it was in January of 2018. And I was like, what do you mean 7% of our kids are ready for kindergarten? I was floored. And so I went back to those 3 moms and I said, y'all help me get elected. We got to do something. And they said, what? And I said, I don't know what we're going to do. They said, well, what are we going to call it? I said, Parent Villages. And it started out as like going around libraries and then realizing there's a bigger need than just telling people what they need to hear. We have to find a way to educate them along the way so that they know how to take advantage of the resources. And here, 8 years later, we're still thriving. We've helped hundreds of families annually, and we have a building where we're able to house other nonprofit organizations that do great work as well.
Oh, that's even better. Yeah, see, yes, you are. You're pouring into the community. Now, are the mothers that started with you, are they still engaged in this?
They are. So they're all on the board. And it's amazing how, we've grown over the years, starting from an all volunteer organization to an organization that now funds positions for people. So we have several staff that are for profit. One second, I hear feedback. Do you hear that feedback?
No, I don't.
Okay, just making sure if it's on my end or your end. And so basically, we went at it and we found ourselves just engaged with with the community more. We got more board members, we got more funding. Started out with a $500 donation to now being a $750,000 organization annually. And so it's been amazing. It's been amazing. And like I said, I would not give it up for the world. And I want to build my own, my consulting business, because that's for my kids.
Right. I hear you. So in the work that Parent Villages is doing, what are like maybe your top three things that um, the majority of people you assist that you're focused in?
So number one is trauma. Every person, I would say 95, 98% of our people have been affected by violence or trauma in some way. And then secondarily, we work with parents or caregivers and youth who are in grades 6 to 12. And so those are our primary impact areas. We provide intermediate support services. We provide counseling, therapy, village, support so that they have a place that's safe, brave, and courageous. And education is not just about academia, right? So
Right.
making sure folks have an understanding of how to advocate for themselves, how to access resources, how to find their voice, how to learn who they are, and how they can better communicate or understand the systems around them so they can navigate to support themselves and their families. So it's so beautiful to watch the trajectory of our families, from people who lived in cars to now having working on master's degrees and living in homes, or young people who are afraid to talk who are now published authors. It's such a beautiful experience to see that. And so it's like taking the thing, I almost feel like it was a big case study for me. I often will say being able to lead Parent Villages from infancy to where we are has been the biggest case study for me to really understand the struggles of my clients and what they're dealing with. Because literally, from staffing to SOPs, standard operating procedures, to marketing and branding, to the 4-point triangle, and what does that mean, and how do you make sure you're not wearing all the hats and overwhelming yourself as you seek to do the mission. It's one thing to write about it because I've experienced it once or twice. It's another thing to be able to share experientially as I'm on the journey and documenting it along the way. So there's no words to describe, the experience of going through that to help people, but also for me to learn how to intrinsically help the folks that really need it the most, that want to lead similar organizations.
Well, what I like about this is the fact that you have your Parent Villages, right, which is assisting families. And it might be that a particular individual in the family sought you out, but it what happens to any of us who are in a family affects everyone in the family,
Right.
right? And you're doing that, and then you have your consulting where you're dealing with individuals, helping them to understand this mission rich thing.
Yes.
And either way, you're pulling people up. It lifts people up with all the work you're doing. So I want to take you back for a second, because it's the same question for both. For the parent villages, what what 9 years later, how many families do you think you've helped?
We did this count a few months ago because we
Oh,
had to do an impact. We're working on our impact report that'll be released soon, and we've helped over 20,000 individuals. And it was really because a lot of the work that we did during COVID was hybrid. So we were able to touch thousands and thousands of people at once with really important referral services and supports. So it was interesting that when we started to come back in person, we were helping less people than we were on average, but it ended up being over 20,000 people.
that's so 2,000 a year, basically. Although I
Yes.
know it is not necessarily evenly distributed. My goodness, over 9 years.
Yes.
That's a lot of work, and you had time to write a book and write a book about what your consulting company is about.
Yes.
Okay, so this question for your consulting company is, can you share with us, because we have people from all over the world listening and
Mhm.
watching, what does mission rich mean? Because your moniker is you're a mission rich strategist.
Yes. I love it. So Mission Rich is something that I'm trademarking. As a matter of fact, in the next couple of weeks, it'll be official. But I've really sat and I thought about it when I was writing my book. How can I call what it is that I believe that I embody as a leader? And I would love to see more people embody so that they are able to find a work life harmony as they are seeking to do the thing that they were called to do. And that's where Mission Rich came from. I thought about the fact that we have a desire to do something that's bigger than us, and it's so rich, it's so wealthy, it's invaluable. And being able to channel that thing, that passion that I call activatable passion, into something that is, quantifiable, that is monetizable, that allows you to impact other people is really the goal of what Mission Rich Leadership is. And it's the goal of what I talk about in the book, Mission Rich and Profit Powered. Like when you really walk in being a mission rich leader, profit will follow you. Whether it's your nonprofit where you become attractable and people look for you, I often brag that 90% of the funding that we've gotten over the last 8 years has been people calling me and saying, we want to fund you. Or we know this person that would like to fund you. Can you sit down and talk with them? And yes, there's a process to writing a grant and you have to do all the things to be eligible, but people still want to fund people that they believe in. And that's why being a mission rich leader is so important, because you can have a really good organization on paper, have really nice videos and pictures, but interact with the visionary and they feel that visionary's heart and desire is so far removed, they're not going to fund the organization. They're just not. They're not going to support you and invest in the work that you do. And I say mission rich because we don't look at the bottom line as our success. Our success is not we made $1 million this year. Our success is we profited and we have sanity and we have peace. And oh, by the way, our kids love us and are looking forward to coming over Friday night. Like to me, that's mission rich. I'm not seeking after a business if that means I lose my family in the process, right? Or lose myself or my well being or my mental stability in the process. That's not mission rich. So I don't want people to get lost in the mission or the goal more important, as that is it being more important than you being living a holistic, peaceful, harmonious life.
Right. Got it. Got it. So uh, let me read the question because I think this person is saying better than what I want to. And that is, while you were talking, this message came across. So someone heard something, and it says, "So what you're saying is mission rich is giving back, watching someone take what you have given them and grow it. Plant that seed, it takes root in the individual and they flourish, not making money but doing something that is a pay it forward thing. Is that right? That's the question.
Almost. The only thing that I would stress is I'm not promoting people being broke. I believe that when people are mission rich, they attract dollars. There's a level of integrity, there's a level of authenticity, there's a level of light that people carry when they're mission rich that makes people want to be there and want to support the work that you do. And
Absolutely.
I am a firm believer that everyone is how do I say it in my book, bankable time, that your time should be bankable. Like you deserve to be paid for what you do. And the goal for a mission rich person is not about the money. But that doesn't mean they don't make money along the way, because
Right.
if you're giving all your money into the mission, then that's a whole nother part of self sabotage that will definitely destroy your business and destroy you in the process. So I want to stress that part. Everything else was just in line. That was the only part I would clarify, and just to make sure that people understand that.
Right. So there were a couple of emails here, but I'm going to try to just summarize a few of them because they're carrying the same theme. So basically, the a person said, we tried to we applied for a grant so that we could grow a different segment of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And the other individuals have basically said the same thing. And they weren't given the grants because what they were trying to do didn't already exist. So can you talk about, because I understand that in higher
Absolutely.
education, you have to have it all, some aspect of it working, right? And that you want to grow. And so can you explain that to,
Absolutely. So the problem is people can't see your vision unless you make it plain. And so when we first started Parent Villages, I actually had a funder tell me it will never work. And she was a very respectable person. I've known her. And she pulled me to the side and she said, Latonia, I got sponsorship, and it was like $500. It was like little, like maybe $12.50, maybe that's what it was. She said, I'll give you this sponsorship, but it's never gonna work. And I was like, what? And she said, this is never gonna work. You can't, you're trying to do too much. You got kids and you got parents, and that's just too much. You need to focus on one. And I said, no. And I pushed back on her. I said, it can work. And she said, how do you know? I said, because I lived it. And so she said, okay, well, we'll see. So a year later, I came back to her. I had been working with a group of a conglomerate of folks who were working towards this goal of family prosperity. And guess what we found? It was a model called the 2 Gen model. And it was by Ascend Institute. And it was a proven model that you can focus on children and parents at the same time, and it works. There just needed to be certain things in place. So we put them in place, we structured the program, and then I went back to that same funder and we got $20,000. So it was a $1,250 to $20,000 jump, and they doubled our sponsorship from $1,250 to $2,500. So in total, we got $2,250 from them that year, all because I was able to show them through tenacity that it could work. So yes, a program might not already be set up and established, and this is something I get into and I love to teach and break down, like how do you identify how to ensure that your thing that you're doing is going to work, and how do you prove that? Not just a business plan. We're not talking about a business plan because that's always pie in the sky, right? But being able to sit down and say, here are the proven things that I know work, and here's why I know this is going to work. Here's the data to support it. Here are the models to support it. And here's how we know it's going to work because of the focus groups or the surveys, all the things. Because data speaks to a certain group of people in a way that storytelling does not. But storytelling speaks to another group of people in a way that the data should back it up.
right?
And that's the way that I coach my folks into being able to take what they do. So case in point, one of my clients, after I talked to him and talked him back from cheapening his approach, he got a $200,000 contract because he was able to
Wonderful.
go in and very clearly indicate why this matched whatever it was. Yes, this is new. Yes, this is something that's never been done, but here's why it's going to work. And somebody believed him because of the way he rephrased the conversation. So I hope that helps the
Yeah,
questions, the folks that are asking the questions as to how you improve it, and always ask details of your funder as to why. Why do they think that it's not going to work? Was there another organization that tried it and it failed? Look at what that organization did. Did they name it something that maybe you should rename it something else? How do you tell the story so that it's not necessarily the same story as the failed organization or the bad, sometimes funders get a bad taste in their mouth. I used to be a funder. So I know the story of like, oh gosh, somebody else wants to do the same thing. They just did utterly failed, wasted $50,000 in that organization. We're not funding that again. And then somebody coming in with enough fresh vision, a great board, and people that have expertise, and we're like, oh well, maybe they can actually do this. They really get it. They really understand.
right. So would you say then, and again, because of what I've read here, but also just in listening to other organizations and groups that are nonprofits, and one of the things I have seen is that there's a vision, but they haven't tried it.
Mm-hmm.
They just feel it should work. And but you mentioned all the pieces,
Yes.
the fact that, and data can come in very various forms, right?
Yes.
But it's important that you somehow have tracked, right, the the outcomes, the good things, the bad things,
Yes.
and people don't always think that way. They go, "Oh, we can get $10,000 for so and so. Let's apply for it." And it's only because we think we should have an after-school program for kids, right, in
Right.
our church. And yeah, that's great. And why? What's it going to do? Why for your children? Why your children?
Absolutely. And oh, by the way, there's a people down the block there doing the same thing. What's so different about you?
Exactly.
And what we used to see all the time as funders, and I know folks listening to this are probably guilty. We're the only ones doing this. Are you? There's some people 2 miles down the street doing the same thing. So
Yes.
no, you're not getting this grant. you know.
Yeah.
So being aware of your surroundings and what people do, and being completely honest. Yeah, there's another group doing choirs and taking music as leadership for children. But what we do differently is that's what really catches a funder's eye. Not we're doing this great thing to help kids because everybody's doing great things to help kids. There's 100 organizations to choose from. I can only pick five. Why should I pick you?
Right. Exactly. Well, you're throwing out those little nuggets. Thank you. Thank you.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
for those of you who have just joined us and you are, I know, right by now are mesmerized by this woman and what she's saying, you have been listening, and you can see it on her screen, Latanya Monroe Naylor. And she is a co founder and CEO of two businesses. One is Parent Villages, and the other is, and I know you'll have trouble remembering this, Monroe Naylor Consulting, and which is all driven by her passion to assist, in particular, not for profit, nonprofits, and small businesses
Yes.
be able to become mission rich in
Yes.
what they do, and in doing that become powerful and impactful in their communities. So, we would love to hear from you, and I'm going to put this information up again for you in case you didn't have a chance to see it or hear about it. You can call us. Yes, you can call in and talk to our guest tonight. I know she'd love to hear from you. 781-384-5587. Or you can email me, Regina at rgbinternetradio.com. And as I said, we'd love to hear from you. Now, I don't want you to go too far, but now's the moment to run and get that something to drink and that something to snack on, because we have a word from our sponsor, but actually, our sponsor would like for you to stick around and pay attention. So, we're going to take a quick break for our sponsor, and we will be right back.
Do you know how many people are harmed by domestic violence every day? Every minute, 20 people are physically abused by an intimate partner. Do you know what the leading cause of homelessness is for women? Domestic violence. Do you know how domestic violence ends? Through your help. If you know someone who needs help from abuse, please call Portal to Hope at 781-338-7678. Portal to Hope is a survivor-driven team seeking to provide shelter, safety, and a pathway to gaining an abuse-free life. Call Portal to Hope at 781-338-7678. We are here to help.
And we are back with our guest, Latanya Monroe Naylor. I just wanted to say, winning women on this show are not just people who aspire to do what they're passionate about, what fulfills them or meets their career goals. Winning women are women who see other women suffering, as you saw in our sponsor's commercial, and try to do something, encourage that person to leave, give them the information to make the call. That makes you a winning woman. And for those of you who can finally take that risk and walk away, that makes you a winning woman too. And so we're back. And I just want to say this has been so. So, what do you love the most when you're doing the Monroe Naylor consulting piece?
Oh my gosh. I think it's so I have a client and he's going to be doing a book launch on Saturday. And I have another client who just did a book launch this past Saturday. And watching them grow their businesses and impact people and walking in this ability to be able to take care of their families and inspire their children, that is the joy that I feel like when I have hard days, it's for those days, those times. And it's almost like, and women who have had children will understand this better than anyone on earth. But there's a birthing process, right? When you're pregnant and you're carrying this child, then you go to deliver this child, you go through all of these changes. And then eventually you deliver and you almost forget all the things you went through once you get the baby, right? And it's like that is what it's like carrying a vision and being able to birth it and weight the weight of it. And so sometimes as I'm creating curriculum or as I'm coaching with people or just dealing with some of the stresses that come with being a leader, and you can't always divulge all the things you're experiencing because sometimes you can only take them to the Lord and that's it, because of depending on what the situation is. And when I'm in those birthing moments, I remember the reward of seeing my client and the beautiful joy in their face and their children, and how everybody's so proud of that individual for what they've accomplished. And again, the people that they've impacted. So that is what brings me joy, knowing that part. And then I would say the other thing that brings me joy is my children, like
Okay.
being able to have my children come to me and say, mommy, you're my role model. Mommy, I just love that I can brag about you, or my friends ask me who you are and I'm so proud to say you're my mom. Like that's another thing that brings me joy,
Of
right? And it's like
course.
they're who I do it for. When I started this work, it was about wanting my daughters and my son to be able to look at their mom and know that they can accomplish greater things. And it transformed into wanting to help other people's children and then helping other people in the community. But it all started with them. So when folks ask me what's my strong why, not just the why, because I believe whys change with the wind and changes in politics or whatever circumstances, there's some things that never change. For me, my babies are my why. Like from 21 years ago when I had the first one to now, like I absolutely live to make sure that life is better for them and that they know mama made it and they can make it.
I can only imagine they are so fortunate because they don't just see you focusing to become something or to accomplish something. They see you focusing on helping someone else to accomplish something, right?
Yes,
But as you said it, the mission rich is you're improving as you help others improve, right?
absolutely.
And there's nothing wrong with getting financial compensation for what you do, because you're right, it is time,
Hmm.
and and there is a cost even to knowing what you know, right? You're sharing with people what you've learned through experience, through time, and through education,
Yes,
and all of that cost. So there's nothing wrong with that, but I love the term mission rich because it makes me understand that when you do what you're driven to do, right, for someone else's benefit, you
yes,
become rich. You feel good about yourself,
yes,
feel good about your environment, and you can't wait for the next one that you can help along the way.
absolutely.
So your children have a wonderful view, right, of seeing you engaged in the not I love this, in the nonprofit world, in and in your consulting, which is for profit, right?
Yes,
And it's a wonderful balance.
I
And
love it. And then in civics too. Like, and one of the things I absolutely love is that my husband and I work closely together. We worked closely together in ministry even before he became a pastor. And we have always engaged our children in everything. So whether it was civic engagement, knocking on doors, whether it was volunteering their time at the nonprofit, reading, do whatever it was that they needed to do, they were always there. They were my first employees in my company. Like I have made them a part of everything. I volunteer them to be a part of everything. And they have not yet pushed back. Like not yet. And I appreciate that, and it's because they've seen my husband and I work so closely and so diligently to make sure that they have better than we had, but also intently to give them voice. There's so many ways that we've raised our children are different than the way we were raised, and not to slant any way, what our parents did, but it's just different. And we were intentional even about how we discipline. Like we would have them write essays, and like you had to explain yourself. Like you want that, then you need to tell me why you want a phone and what's the good, the bad, and the ugly, or
Oh,
you did that, you shouldn't have did that. Why was it wrong? Like we were very intentional about making sure there's a level of empathy that they have and they carry, because they had to embody the thing before they could justify why they should have it. And I could even remember times in Christmas where we would say, we're not doing Christmas this year for y'all. We're going to adopt a family, and that's our Christmas this year. And they never, ever pushed back. They were so excited to go with us to the store and buy the outfits and pick out the things for the other families that we adopted. And so that it brings me joy to know that there's this balance, but it also is something I want to share with folks, because in this day and time we're living in, so many people are trying to appease their children, not realizing that part of the journey of parenting is to teach our kids accountability and empathy and humility. Even admit when I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, and that is something that I embody in the work, not just do I teach about technical or grant writing. When I'm sitting out talking to parents, they'll ask me, how do you do it? How in the world did you do with your teenagers? And can you give me some points in the middle of a not counseling, a coaching session?
mm-hmm.
Because I don't do counseling, I'm not a counselor. But in the middle of a coaching session, they'll say, you need to tell me, when are you going to write a book about parenting? Because I need to know, how can I be a business owner and a parent at the same time, So it's all a part of the journey of Mission Rich. It's the balancing of the things we love and care about so dearly, being a part of the journey as we grow, as we become more prosperous, as our bank accounts grow, so we can continue to pay it forward and give back into our environment, into our community.
Okay. So I'm going to um, give you something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you said I'm not a counselor, and I disagree. When you give wise advice, that makes you a counselor. If you just want to listen to somebody's problems, that makes you a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
So you are a counselor,
Thank
and you're
you.
sharing wise counsel with those that you deal with, and it's making a difference in their life. You just mentioned two people have authored books, and now that leads me to my last question. Tell us about your book.
So my husband was so sweet. I forgot it. He went and grabbed it for me. So Mission Rich and Profit Powered, a guide to transforming your passion into a fully funded business, is available on just about any platform, and also directly on my website, monroenailer.com. I wrote that book and I released it on the same date as the tragic incident that I was telling you about. And we didn't talk about it tonight because it wasn't the direction that we
Right.
were led to go
That's
in.
okay.
But when they write the book, they'll get to read about it, because I do talk about it in the book. And December 23rd was just a really special day for me. And I decided, when I did the book, finally, after 7 years, I was releasing it on the day that I felt I saw a new lease on life and a new perspective, after I felt God spare my life. And so, not felt, I knew he spared my life. It's
Right.
not even no guess. I know he did. But it really is about mindset. It's about family. It's about balance. It's about self-sabotage. Like all of these things are a part of the journey to becoming a successful business owner, entrepreneur, leader. I talk about entrepreneurs, people who think they want to be an entrepreneur, but they're really not. And they're thinking, they're saying that they're doing the thing. And no, 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 you're not. Because look,
Okay, I'm going to buy about 10 of those now.
I even talk about, am I a entrepreneur? Like, are you really? So it's so important for folks to understand and name what they are so they'll know what they want to be. You know, if you want to be a hustler, a side hustle, that's fine. Be a side hustle, but don't say it's a business and it's not. Because then you trick yourself into thinking you're entitled to things that you're not allowed to have access to because you don't have the structure in place. And so we go through all of that. And then finally, in the last of the chapters, we talk about flawless administration and how to access funding and resources to really fund the vision because there's so much money out there. And people will say, no, it's not. And, you know, money is being cut left and right. There's always money. You just got to follow it and you got to know how to speak the language to get the money into your organization or into your business or to find the people that will pay for you to get their services from you or your products. So I love it. I love the journey. It's not a long read on purpose. It's about 130 pages. And I did that on purpose because I found that most of my clients just didn't have time to read a book like this. They were never going to sit down and read a book like that. And they were never going to go back to school right now, maybe later. And it was like, I need this information and I need it now. And then once they get it, then they realize maybe I should go back to school, or maybe I need a little bit more training, or maybe they want to come in and get coached by me or join some of my classes. And so that's where the Mission Rich experience came from because I said, you know, so many of my clients come, they sit in my sessions, and they're like, this is great information, but I need help figuring out how to put it together. And so we designed this 2-day intensive for that purpose as well.
I I love the fact that you are willing to, first of all, to encourage people to follow their dreams and to recognize that what you think you can't do is possible. Here are some things that you may not have thought of to this, and here are some things you need to think about as you go for this, and that you're willing to share that in a book. And so a whole lot of people better buy this book because she's going to run out. When you can tell me I can be mission rich and profit powered,
Yes.
there's and how to do that, how to get other people to fund that mission rich dream. Yeah,
And and
I
and and also, Regina, what is the mission rich dream? Because a lot of times people will come and say, I want to do this. And by the time I'm done with them, they're like, yeah, maybe not. Maybe I really want to do this. And so it's important to be able to do that introspection and search yourself and find out, is the passion activatable? Is it fundable? And if it's not, let's not waste time on the thing that can't be funded. Let's find a way to create something that can be, that aligns with the thing that you're really passionate about, that is activatable. And so we talk about that process in the book as well. Don't just dream just to dream and there's no way to fund the dream if it's not realistic. But let's pull it in and find out, why are you dreaming of that?
right.
Is the solution you want really the thing that you need to seek after? Did you just make it up and decide this is what you want to do? I want to just feed a bunch of people. Well, maybe there's a better way to do that. Let's
Right.
talk about what that is.
And I liked how you ended this because I was sitting here thinking she's giving away all the nuggets in this book, and then I thought no, because you can say you need to think about this or whatever, but I've found that I may have the thoughts, but until I run them by someone else who knows,
Right?
right, that I still could go wrong. And
Absolutely. And
so that's
ChatGPT can't help you.
right. So that
ChatGPT tells you what you want to hear.
right, exactly. So that's the reason that you as a mission rich strategist, that people need to be able to buy that book and then get on the phone and call Monroe Naylor Consulting because they're like, I may not be on the right trajectory here and I need someone to run this by.
Yes.
But and I can see that. I can see that. Now, last but not least, because you are on a number of boards, a- and I want to say to all of you watching and listening, when I say a number, it's a two-page number. So again, I don't know how she does it, but she does. And when you aren't doing the boards, teaching it, the higher education institutions, running your business, helping and assisting at parent villages, you have some time with your family. What is it that gives you the greatest joy when you're with the family?
Two things. Laughing. We have so much fun. We laugh and joke with each other and pick on each other, and it's hilarious. And I love to laugh. My kids think I am the funniest when it comes to laughing. They're probably laughing right now, thinking about me laughing because I just laugh at the stupidest things. We'll be watching a movie, and everybody else will think that wasn't funny, and I'll be rolling over on the couch just thinking it's funny. So that is something I love. I love to just laugh and joke with my
Yeah.
family. And
Yeah.
I love to cook for them. I love it when we have Thanksgiving or Sunday dinner and all of them come over. I have a son in law now, and he comes over, and my son's best friend will come over, and we just have a good time. And I cook for them, and we eat together, and then they clean up after. You know, when they do that, that brings me
Oh,
more joy.
that's the best part.
But yes, that's the comedy thing. I do want to say, I will admit, I am no longer actively involved in all of the boards.
Oh,
I have been on a number, like dozens, but I'm no longer actively involved. I think I'm on four now, and maybe even three that I'm actively. And I changed because when 4 years ago, when I started writing my book, and by the time 2023 came along, I realized I was doing too much. And my coach said to me, "You need to get off the bus and doing too much." And a lot of people listening are on the bus and doing too much. And that was me. And I had to take a hard look at things and follow what I wrote in my book. I read my book to myself again. And as I was reading my book, I'm like, girl, you are doing too much. You're going to burn yourself out. We can't have a repeat. So what can you cut back on? And I started to step back out of organizations. I didn't leave them high and dry. I made referrals. So I said, I can't do this anymore, but here's somebody that I think would be great. And then when people would ask me about new boards, I told them the same thing. I am not able to accept anymore, but here's somebody that I think would be great. And I think
right,
it's important for us to share that opportunity. We don't need to sit on all the boards. Let somebody else sit on the board. School committee is another thing I had to be on, but for now. But even that, I'm looking for who's going to be the next one because I'm not going to do that forever. Everybody deserves an opportunity to sit at those tables and make decisions.
right. And I'm glad to hear you say that. My expression is I can't be on every train that leaves the station.
Right.
So yeah, there is a point, but you're still engaged in your community, and that's a wonderful thing. That's I I just had to ask because there's been a few emails asking how does she ever have time with the family? Yes, of
I
course she
do.
does.
Because they're with me all the time. That's why, I mean, what is the nonprofit? Everywhere. We're in church together. I mean, it's amazing how we have found a way to just build and grow together as a family. And I love it because I never have to miss them for too many days. Even the ones that are not in the house anymore, it's like they're always around still because we just have such a connection. And that intentionality of blocking time for myself, intentionality of blocking time for my family, having pre Thanksgiving together, pre Christmas together, so that it's just me and my family, not everybody around. Those are things that I've done to be intentional to make sure my children don't feel like they're lacking in their mom or my husband because he needs me too.
That's right. But I will say this to you as we're winding down. I really appreciate the fact that your family is engaged in what you do and you're engaged in what they do. Because your children are learning some of the best things, and they're learning how to give, how to serve, how to be humble, and to learn
Yes.
from what they see, learn from what they hear. And I can tell you because I've seen it in my own life and in the lives of others. When your family is that way, engaged in the community and active in certain things, and the kids are there with them, they will follow that lead.
Mm-hmm.
They will follow right through, and these aspects of helping others, right? Think more highly of others than yourself.
Yes.
That giving, you will receive so much without even understanding it. You will, and so your children are benefiting from excellent role models. And I'm so happy for you, and I can't wait to get my book.
Thank
So
you.
all 10 of them.
Thank
So,
you.
but now, yes, and so can you please once again tell our audience about your book and where they can get
Yeah, so it's Mission Rich and Profit Powered. If you go, there's a number of places you'll go, you'll see it, and it's on my website. If you want a signed copy, you would get it from my website, as I always sign the copies that come off the website, monroenailer.com.
it? Okay.
And the Mission Rich and Profit Powered, I think, also brings you to the book page. Excuse me. But yeah, I want folks to get it because I believe it will transform how they look at their journey and how they move and being able to accomplish having a business, whether it's a nonprofit, a ministry, a community outreach, or just their own micro business that they want to really follow through on.
Right. Well, I will tell you after our conversation tonight, there cannot be enough Latanya Monroe Nailers. So if the mission rich, profit powered will help them become another you,
Yes, thank
that'll
you.
be a good thing in this world.
Thank
And
you.
so I just want to say to all of you who have spent time with us this evening, I thank you. Tanya, Latanya, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending time with us and for all the wonderful things you've shared about yourself and the work that you do that benefits so many. I
Thank
have
you
to sneak
for
this
having
in.
me.
She had a job in United Way or one other nonprofit organization where she led teams of volunteers, and there were over 1,000 of them that she was
Yes,
dealing with.
a
So,
thousand at like 80 sites. Oh, from like 40 companies. And every year it got bigger and bigger. It was probably like almost 2000 in the height of it. Oh yeah, I loved it. I loved it. It was a everything I do, I make a system out of it. So I took it and I made a system out of it. I took the stuff the bus, made a system out of it. I ran a AmeriCorps program with about 60 individuals that I oversaw at one of the colleges. Again, made a system out of it. I believe systems are sustainable.
well, well, all your systems are working, and obviously your home life system is working, and that's why you're sustainable and
Yes,
sustained. But I want to thank you so much.
thank you.
Uh, and again, can you give them your website
Yes.
information?
It's Monroe Naylor, MonroeNaylor.com. And they'll get all the information on me, my social media, contact information, and of course, Mission Rich and Profit Power, the book.
Okay. Well, thank you. And to those of you, again, thank you for spending time with us this evening. If you've enjoyed this show and you like talk shows, RGB Internet Radio on Monday nights has a show called Talk Time, and it is with Robert Brown. He talks about local, national, and international affairs and what things are the hot topics of the day or the week, and he's very forthright. He states his point of view, but again, you're invited to call in and or email and share your points of view as well. And I always find it very enlightening. I love the clips that he shows to support some of the things that he's going to talk about. Monday nights at 8 o'clock. And same thing, it's on RGB Internet Radio. If you're music oriented, RGB Internet Radio is music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, except when people like myself and Robert interrupt that for these kinds of shows and others. And if you love gospel music, Sunday morning from 6:30 to 8:30 a.m. while you're getting ready for your worship service, you can join Bishop Brown with Sunday morning glory. And you will, I'm telling you, you will have a hallelujah good time. And then if you like oldies but goodies, Saturday is oldies but goodies day, but from 5 to 7, DJ Bobby B will take you way back on the show Let's Go Back. There's more. Go to rgbinternetradio.com to find out about us and join me next week, same time, same place for the Winning Women Talk Show. Love somebody. We're out of here now. Thank you for spending time with us, and we'll see you next week.